Hello there, biology boys and girls. It's Mr. Williams one more time here, and welcome to our video lesson over chromosomes. The information from this video lesson can also be found in your textbook under section 6.1. Okay, so up until this point, we've been looking at DNA, a lot of info from 9.2 and 9.3. All right, so if we check the major concepts on the website, remember that stuff that Mr. Williams says, hey, this is what I want you to know. This is what you should be learning. This is what you will be assessed over. Let's take a gander at it, okay? So we've knocked out these first two major concepts, spent the last 2 to 3 class periods really hammering home that information about DNA. So today with this video lesson and over the next class period and a half with some of the activities and info we will cover inside the classroom, in addition to this video, we will be knocking out these two major concepts right here, all right? The fourth major concept, the fourth bullet, is going to be the first thing we're talking about actually, and that's some reasoning and some evidence for cellular reproduction. Kind of a general description and definition for cellular reproduction, cellular division, with some explanations and examples. And then we're going to get to some information about the chromosome. All right, the generalized structure of a chromosome, kind of the composition of a chromosome, and the location of chromosomes, all right, and then just some vocabulary that we need to start introducing ourselves to and getting comfortable with regarding chromosomes, so when we start looking at the cell cycle, mitosis, cytokinesis, and then next unit, meiosis, we got a good grasp on all this information, all right? So without further ado, let's get to some of the notage here, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use my screen blocker as I kind of talk and get through the notage. Occasionally we're going to go to a couple different diagrams and photos. But first, this whole thing, this chromosome structure, okay, is a very unique specialized structure used for, drumroll please, cellular reproduction. Okay? So a general definition here and some basic reasoning for cellular reproduction, our fourth major concept. So why? Why do you cellularly reproduce? Now, you may also see it called cell division. Cell reproduction and cell division are the same thing, and I'm not necessarily going to read to you word for word what's on the screen. You can listen and watch me and or read and listen at the same time here. But cell division, cell reproduction, same difference, okay? You've got thousands upon millions, according to one source here, I believe this is from your textbook, okay, of cells being reproduced in your body every second of the day, okay? Why? Well, as a eukaryotic organism, all right, you're growing, you're developing, and you're repairing yourself, all right? Just think of a cut you may have had on your hand recently, maybe a sore inside of your mouth. A cut doesn't stay on your finger. If it's a paper cut, it doesn't stay on your finger for the remainder of your life. Cell division is actually taking place and repairing the tissue that has been damaged around, inside, and through that cut. Okay, so eukaryotes use cell division to divide and grow, all right, to actually get bigger. A lot of you are still going through that type of cell division right now. Some of you are still going through the type of cell division that is all about development. Okay, so maturing or changing from certain types of physical stages in an organism's lifetime. And then the one that we're all doing, regardless of our age and point of our lives, is repairing. Cell division as a eukaryotic organism for repairing purposes. We also carry out a special kind of cell division in a eukaryotic cell, and it's called sexual reproduction, and it's for the creation of gametes, or sex cells, so sperm and egg cells, and we'll get to that next unit. If you're a single-celled organism, if you're a bacterium, you are carrying out cell division purely for the aspect of species survival. It's how you actually reproduce more of yourselves. We're not carrying out cell division just to make more of yourself, all right? We can't. We're multicellular. But if you're a single-celled, unicellular organism like a bacterium, that's what you're doing, okay? So where's the info to control this process, to key certain cell division stages in your lifetime? Well, we've been studying that stuff. Where's it at? It's the DNA, okay? So the info for cell division and all the processes that are taking place during cell division, all right, is housed in the DNA. And on the screen right there right now, some basic information and review of DNA. All right, we know all that stuff. So moving on, reproduction here. Okay, if you're a prokaryote, we'll get this out of the way right now. If you're a prokaryote, we call your type of cellular reproduction binary fission. All right, we call it binary fission. There's two steps. Okay, I like to think of that word binary. Bi means two. It's a root word for two. Okay, it's two steps, and the result is two new cells. All right, so two steps here. The first one, you copy the DNA. You carry out DNA replication. So inside that little bacterium, DNA replication is taking place, and then bada bing, bada boom, cell wall, cell membrane form in the center. New DNA here, cell wall in the center, eventually forming completely, pinching off, two new cells. There you go. All right, now there's some positives and some negatives to binary fission. One of the positives is that it happens really fast. So bacteria can go from 1 to 2 to 4 to 8 to 16 to 32 to 64 to 128 to 256 to 512 to 1024 to 2048 to 4096 to 8192, 82. I'm struggling now with my math, but you get the point. Literally within hours, they can grow exponentially. All right, just insanely increase. So that's one advantage of being a unicellular organism and carrying out binary fission is you can make a whole lot of you really quickly. One disadvantage, though, is no genetic diversity. Okay, and I'll talk about that in class regarding the current sickness that's traveling around. It's all viral. It's completely different than bacterial sickness. But we'll talk about that in class and make a little more sense then. But no genetic diversity. So that's a real negative if you're a piece of bacteria. Okay? So eukaryotes, cell division in eukaryotes here. All right? Why we divide, kind of how we divide, how we carry it out. So the process of cell division, since you are a multicellular organism, one can just assume it is more complex, and it is. All right? It is very complex compared to that of binary fission. All righty? We actually have to have our DNA unraveling. We have to have our DNA unraveling from that chromosome structure, and we have to have it completely copied, and then we've got to do a lot of prep work, and then we've got certain stages that have to happen. It's a long process that we'll get into next video lesson here, okay? But in short, eukaryotes copy their DNA in the form of chromosomes, okay? And then we split our cells in half to generate two new cells. Okay? That's pretty much the gist of cell division for a eukaryotic organism. Again, our last video lesson for this unit is all about that. Alrighty? So, going back here, a little time to review and reflect. We just got done hammering out this information here about our fourth major objective. Okay? So if you want to pause the video, maybe rewind, or pause, rewind, and reflect over some of this information of why cellular reproduction takes place, a general definition for it, some examples and explanations. Go ahead and do that right now. If you're done, let's move on to our third major objective here, which is describing the structure, composition, and location of chromosomes. Okay? So two major types of chromosomes. Well, not two major types of chromosomes, two major types of cells present inside of a eukaryotic organism. Somatic cells and sex cells, okay? Somatic cells refer to anything that is not dealing with sexual reproduction or making more of yourself. Sex cell would be like the sperm cells or the egg cells that are created by the male and female genders of a species. Okay, so non-sex cells are your somatic cells, and they have 23 pair of chromosomes, or 46 total chromosomes. They differ in size, shape, gene sets, etc., etc., etc. All right, so there's different amounts of info found on each one of those chromosomes. When chromosomes are very similar to each other, okay, I always kind of like to use my fingers here, like this finger is real similar to this finger, they're index fingers. Okay, this is a chromosome, this is a chromosome. We call these guys homologous chromosomes. Chromosome, homologous chromosomes. Okay, so when chromosomes have a buddy that's similar to them, they kind of pair up together and we call them homologous chromosomes. Your somatic cells have what we call a full set of chromosomes. Therefore, they're considered diploid. Okay, they kind of have 2 of each. Remember, little pinky chromosome, 2 of each. Index, index, 2 of each. Ring finger, 2 of each. Okay, thumb, 2 of each. All right, we'll just go with those 4 fingers, those 4 sets of fingers. Alrighty. Now, sex cells are a little different here. Okay, sex cells, you actually only have 1. So you've got this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. Okay, so you've only got like 23 of them. You don't have the buddies included inside of a sex cell. So it's half of the original genetic information found in the regular cells in your body. So it's halved. We consider it haploid. All right, we consider it haploid. And the actual information that tells you what gender you're going to be, it's actually found on the 23rd chromosome. So you're either possessing an X chromosome or a Y chromosome there. And that's going to be the determining factor on whether you're a boy or a girl. All right, so let's get to some diagrams here. Okay, here is our hierarchy for genetic information found inside of the cell. So here is our cell. Okay, here's our nucleus, and you can see these X-like structures. Again, if my index fingers were chromosomes and they cross like this looks very similar to the thing that we see in the nucleus right there. And then we have this little shaded area here showing us that, bam, we're looking at this big structure, that these little X's inside the nucleus, this is what we're actually looking at, okay? And you can see this spaghetti string or this thread-like string inside of here. Well, that's a coiled up nucleosome. And a nucleosome is DNA that's coiled up around specialized proteins that we call histone proteins. And those histone proteins, what do? They help wrap up DNA. Okay? So genetic information is found inside the nucleus of cells, and it controls everything for the organism. All right? But there's some vocabulary to help us out here. Again, DNA is a polymer made up of those monomers known as nucleotides, and those sequences of nucleotides encode for specific information for an organism. Those sequences are called genes. Okay, so there's specific sets of info encoded on certain sections of DNA called genes. DNA coils around these histone proteins. Then we get these structures called nucleosomes from the coiled up histones in DNA. And then those nucleosomes spiral. And then those nucleosomes kind of condense together. And they form chromosomes. One technical piece of information about this diagram is you are actually viewing a homologous chromosome. We will get into the very, very confusing process of how homologous chromosomes, homologous pairs, chromosomes, and chromatids are all kind of used for multiple parts of the cell cycle. It'll make more sense when we start looking at it, okay? But when you're talking homologous chromosomes, you got to know what stage or what type of cell you're talking about. You're talking homologous pairs, you're only talking about one thing. You're talking about chromatids, what are we talking about now? So we'll get into that more here in class. But you're actually looking at a homologous chromosome here. All right, this would be like my index finger and my index finger crossing with each other or buddying up right next to one another. Okay. Another picture we have here, this is a human karyotype, and a karyotype is a diagram, a cell photo of all the chromosomes present inside someone's cell. So again, homologous chromosomes, 2 chromosomes that are like one another. So our first pair here, our first homologous pair or chromosome, see how I'm starting to use them together a little bit, having one term actually mean 2 separate things. But here's a chromosome. All right, this coiled one right here, and here's another one. Together, they're a homologous chromosome. We can see here in this set number 2, there's one chromosome, there's another chromosome. Together, they are a homologous chromosome. We get all the way down here to the 23rd set, and this would be a male. This guy would be a male here. This is the karyotype of a male, all right, because there is that Y chromosome right there. All right, and our last picture, just what these guys look like actually in real time. Okay, so it's kind of like a fluffy little elongated marshmallow shape that's just a bunch of coiled up DNA. So really, really delicate process, and we'll discuss that more in class. So In closing, hopefully you feel good about these two major concepts right here, and hopefully you can share some basic information about these two major concepts, as we'll be applying all this stuff and info and the practice questions we answer in class, the quizzes that we're going to take here over the next couple class periods, and the activities that we will embark on. All right. Thanks for checking out the video. If you have any questions, by all means, contact me. Ask away. Please, 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 please ask away, and we'll get to know this stuff like the back of our hand. All right. See you later.